Welcome to Musa Bytes. Here, we make complex technology simple and accessible for everyone. Today, we're diving into a pretty wild idea for solving our planet's huge data crisis, and we're asking a big question. Is our digital future really written in the stars? So get this. This message was beamed down from low Earth orbit not too long ago. And no, it wasn't aliens. It was actually from an artificial intelligence, the very first greeting from a high-powered AI running in space. But the real question isn't just who sent it, but why? Why was it sent in the first place? Well, that message from orbit, it's not just some cool tech demo. It's actually being proposed as a solution to a massive, and I mean massive problem that's getting worse right here on the ground. And the scale of this problem is just staggering. According to the International Energy Agency, the amount of electricity our data centers use is set to more than double by 2030. Think about that. Double the power demand in just a few short years. That is a huge new strain on our energy resources. And that incredible hunger for energy creates all sorts of other problems, right? These giant facilities are putting a major strain on power grids. They're also incredibly thirsty, consuming billions of gallons of water just to stay cool. And of course, they have a big carbon footprint. On top of all that, they take up a ton of physical land and are super noisy, which you can imagine doesn't make them very popular neighbors. The AI revolution we're all so excited about, it might just require more power than we can sustainably provide here on Earth. So with all these very real-world limits, the AI industry is, well, it's looking up. They are pushing what honestly sounds like science fiction. A truly outrageous idea to solve an Earth-based problem by, leaving Earth altogether. The pitch? Let's move our data centers into orbit. And this isn't just some drawing on a napkin anymore. One startup has already taken that first giant leap. They've turned this wild idea into a reality. So let's break down how they actually pulled it off. Okay, meet Starcloud 1. This is a satellite that a startup launched recently, but it's what was inside that was the real game changer. It was carrying an NVIDIA H100 GPU. Now, to give you some perspective, that single chip is over 100 times more powerful than any computer hardware we've ever sent into space before. It's a beast. So once they got that powerhouse into orbit, they achieved a few historic firsts. First, they remotely trained a small AI model called NanoGPT on the complete works of Shakespeare. Yeah, teaching it to talk like it's from the 1600s, all from space. Then, for the main event, they successfully ran and communicated with Gemma, which is one of Google's powerful large language models. These were the very first times an AI had ever been trained and run on a chip this advanced in space. Pretty incredible stuff. And this quote from Starcloud CEO Philip Johnston really puts their ambition into perspective. He's not just talking about some small-scale experiment here. The end goal is to do everything an Earth-based data center can do, but just, floating in the vacuum of space. All right, so they've proven it's possible. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. What does this future of orbital data centers actually look like? Because it is a future that is packed with both unbelievable promise and some pretty serious peril. This really breaks down why space is so attractive. Down here, data centers are chained to the power grid, and they guzzle fresh water to stay cool. But in orbit, you get uninterrupted 24/7 solar power. No clouds, no nighttime. For cooling, you just use these passive panels that radiate heat out into the cold of space. No water needed. And maybe the biggest advantage of all, on Earth, land is finite. In orbit, you can basically scale up forever. And the potential uses for this are genuinely mind-blowing. If you have AI processing satellite data right there in orbit, you get real-time intelligence. Imagine spotting the heat signature of a wildfire the very second it starts and instantly alerting firefighters. Or scanning the ocean to find a tiny lifeboat from a capsized ship. We're not just talking about your movies streaming faster. We're talking about technology that could literally save lives. But of course, it's not that simple. The challenges here are just as huge as the opportunities. The radiation in space can absolutely wreck sensitive electronics. If something breaks, you can't just call a repairman. Fixing things in orbit is unbelievably difficult and expensive. Then you have the constant risk of getting hit by space junk, in a whole universe of legal and regulatory questions about who controls all this data in space. Lots of hurdles to clear. So yeah, Starcloud might have been the first to pull this off, but they are definitely not going to be the last. What we're seeing here is the very beginning of a new kind of space race. A race for the final frontier of data itself. And the field is already getting pretty crowded. You've got Google with its own Project Suncatcher, which wants to put its custom AI chips in space. There's a company called Lone Star Data that's not even stopping at orbit. They want to build a data center on the moon. And another startup, Etherflux, is aiming for its first launch in early 2027. The race is officially on. But let's end by coming back to this really powerful statement from Starcloud CEO. It just brings the whole thing full circle, doesn't it? The biggest reason for this incredible technological leap into the cosmos is, ironically, all about preserving our own beautiful, fragile planet. And that leaves us with this final, big question to chew on. As our appetite for data and AI just keeps growing and growing, could the solution to our biggest problems on Earth actually be found off of it? Is our digital future truly written in the stars? That was today's Bite from Musa Bytes.